Faxanadu Remastered is the hugest game I ever created. I had to do it. It was nostalgic. There were so many things about this game that were problematic back in the day, and I had to fix them. But this game is ginormous. One of the earliest games that I recreated, and I went hog wild with this thing. When I even watch playthroughs of this game, I can't even believe how big I actually made it. But that was one of my main goals amongst a lot of other things that I want to talk about. But mainly it was making the game bigger than it already was. Now Faxanadu back in the day, not a lot of people, I don't think anybody that I knew really knew about it. And then when I actually came out with reviews of the game back in the day and actually remade it, it actually was surprising to me how many people did know about this game and actually played it back in the day. So that was really surprising to me, because I just thought it was kind of like a Zelda type clone. But I would always pick it up periodically throughout my life and play it. So not just as a kid, but as a teenager, in my 20s, all the way up till, including when I remade it. So one of the biggest problematic things with the original game that I always wanted to change, and I think we all wanted this change, was the item system. Because in the original game, you could only hold so many items in this one, item category box that held like 10 items or something like that. But that was everything in total. So that means keys that you would collect and potions, elixirs, boots of flight, anything that you would need. So if you ran into an area where you couldn't progress because you needed a specific key or a specific item and you didn't have it because your inventory was full, you're fucked. Anyway, so I fixed that immediately by making it so that you could hold a specific number of keys, specific number of potions, and every single time you leveled up your character by fighting monsters and killing them, just like you did in the original one, then that would increase so that you could hold more of them. So I think it goes to a maximum of holding 9 of each. But that way it clears up the items menu so that it technically doesn't get full with a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, the original one had potions in it, but there were some that I wanted to add. I wanted to add such as the blue potion I wanted to add, and I wanted to add the green potion so that would cure poison, because poison was a little bit different in the original one. You would just grab one of these poison potions, you didn't really know what they were, and it would just take life off of you. But mine's a little bit more sadistic and sinister, and that is if you are poisoned, your life bar slowly gets drained off, kind of like a Dark Souls style. That's what I was thinking, right? So I thought that was cool. So if you didn't have a green potion, you couldn't cure it. And then for your magic, I had some blue potions in there as well, and that cures your mana bar, so you could cast some more spells. And then of course you got elixirs that do both. Now, aside from the graphics, of course, that's completely overhauled. You got 60 frames a second, you've got the parallaxing backgrounds, etc., etc. But one thing that I did change sort of about the attacking and the graphics is that in the original one, when you hit the enemies, I think they kind of got sucked into you, which didn't make much sense. So I was like, no, they should be repelled away from you. Now, some people have complained and said that they didn't like that. They liked the original one better. But I mean, it's my remake and it's my game, and hear me out on this, okay? So let me try and convince you that it's better and it's more fun. Because now when you hit the enemies, they're repelled away from you. But sometimes there are specific weapons that repel the enemies even farther away from you. And there's even other weapons that will stun the enemies as well. So there's a random stunner on it that you may hit them and then they'll just stop moving for a couple of seconds, giving you that opportunity to finish them off. So I just think that it's a little bit, it flows in the game just a little bit better rather than having the enemies be kind of like vacuumed into you. All the music in the game has also been redone, which is great. I had a friend of mine or a fan of the game, and he volunteered because I don't know how to remake music at all. And he wanted to remake, he was a fan of the game, and he wanted to remake the entire score for it and make it new school. And so I implemented that in. I think it sounds great, but of course, there's still the original 8-bit version as well. So I kind of have two versions. This is before I started implementing in all the newer games where in the menu section, like in Teenage Turtles, that you could switch the music from old school to new school. This was, remember, this is an older game. So basically when you get the game, you get kind of like both versions in there as well. And I don't know, it's up to you whether or not you like the new version or whether or not you like the old version of the music. It's pretty nostalgic for me, but either way, it's pretty good. Another big change is the winged boots, which was a big aspect of this game. Other than it, because there's something about Faxanadu other than Zelda. That's why you pick it up and play it. It's not the same old Zelda stuff. So the winged boots were a specialty item that you could get in the game, and it would give you the power of flight for a limited time. And I don't think that's enough. I think these boots are so iconic to the actual game that they should be an item that you can use all the time once you get them. So what I did was I put this flight meter. It's like a power of the flight boots that you get once you get the winged boots up in the corner. And when you hold down the flight button, you can hover around your character just like you can in the original game, and he's using the boots, except that you can see the actual meter, his flight meter, go down. And then when you're not flying, it will slowly regenerate itself back up again. I thought that was really innovative for the time. I had never done or thought of anything like that in any of my games before. It worked out really, really good, and it worked out so well that then I started implementing even more levels and more obstacles in the game where you had to use your flight in order to get through it. Sort of like a Symphony of the Night part where you had to use Alucard's bat form to get through all these different areas. I don't know, I was just getting a lot of inspiration from a lot of other games that I played as well, and then just implementing them into Faxanadu. There are weapons that are in the game that were never in them before. There's also upgraded weapons that are secret weapons if you can find them, because I have areas in the game, sort of like Castlevania, where you can hit the wall where you think it can't be destroyed, but it promotes exploration, I guess. Hitting the walls, and some of them can be destroyed. They'll lead to secret areas, and you can actually get upgraded versions of your weapons that will actually deal even more damage, perhaps to specific enemies. There's also a major expansion that I did on the game after I completed it. It was like called the World of Ice or something like that, and I made a whole other huge expanding level with all new enemies, bosses, and challenges. Like I said, it's a huge game. It's a humongous game, so much so that there are certain things in it that I want to make better. Like there is still the black, there's slight black bars on the left and right hand side of the screen, because this is when everybody was saying that they wanted that in. So if you play some of my older games and that's in there, it's because I had it widescreen, and the people said, no, we want more nostalgic, we want it, you know, kind of like whatever you call it, not letterbox, the 4.8 or whatever, the old school square. And I'm like, okay, give the people what they want. But of course things have flipped, and now everybody wants it widescreen. They don't want those black bars anymore. So if the game's too big, I have to go through each individual stage and actually make it widescreen on every single one, and it's too much of an undertaking. So the game is as good as it's gonna get right now. There's no, as far as I know, there's no major glitches. Multiple people have played through it. They haven't got stuck. They've gone all the way through the entire game. And it's a great game. It's one of the gems of my collection. I really like it a lot. And even maybe someday in the future, I may actually, if I have the time, pick it up and play through the game entirely again. But that was it. That's my video about my remake of Faxanadu Remastered. I like it a lot. A lot of people like it. They download it all the time. It's one of my very first games. I think it did a really, really good job on it. I'm very proud of it, actually, and it's one of my favorite remakes that I have done. So thank you very much, and if you guys did like the video, of course, hit the thumbs up button. I do appreciate that. And if you want to see another great remake, click up over here. And if you want to subscribe, you can click up over there as well. And I'll see you guys next time.